You asked for it. It's the show that you asked for. It's the show that the people want. It's keeping it real. And we are your hosts. I'm the real sports guy, Steve Taylor. He is the Sandman, Andy Sanzada. What is happening, my brother?
Hey, Steve, it's good to be here. We got another season ready to rock and roll in a matter of days, and we got a lot to talk about, my friend.
Man,
it's going to be an exciting year for both of our teams. This is the first time in the 20 years you and I have known each other that both of our teams legitimately have a chance at doing something special.
Right. Well, here's the thing. We're going to do our NFL kickoff show, and that's how we're going to kick off this initial podcast. When I had my choice of hosts, there was none other than I would have than you, my brother. So that's why we're doing this here today. But this is the show that the people ask for. So without further ado, we're going to keep it real like we always do. We're going to put it down. You may not agree with us, but I tell you what, we're going to always tell you like it really, really T.I. is. Everybody, my brother.
That's right. We don't mess around. We tell you exactly how it is. We don't care whether you like our opinions or not. You're going to get them because we got the facts, and we're going to give them to you.
That's right. We're moving on up. But look, before we get to the NFL, this is the first week of college football. Give me your initial thoughts to what you saw this weekend.
Well, there are a couple teams that really stood out. Obviously, Alabama looks untouchable after only 1 week, which is scary. But we kind of expected that to happen. I think that's why they were a unanimous number one. Yeah. But there's some teams out there that are making some noise early that I wasn't expecting to hear from, UCLA being one of them. I think they've had a great first week, getting 2 wins, a big win against an SEC opponent. That's going to help put Chip Kelly back on the map, I think.
It's about time he got his shit together. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's been a while.
Yeah, he's been there for, I think this is year 3 now, maybe year 3 or 4, and he hasn't made a significant bowl game yet. And the Pac-12 is wide open, and it's there for the taking before it folds because that's probably on the horizon.
No. Pac-12 is not. You are under alert, folks. The Pac-12 is UCLA's. I tell you, when it's all said and done, it's going to be the Bruins. The one thing about the Bruins that jumped out to me, they were 0-6 in games outside of the Pac-12. Before the season, okay, well they're 2-0 now, and that's including a dismantling of LSU. I mean, they beat the brakes off of LSU. I mean, it wasn't even close. When you look at it, you look at the talent, you're like, is UCLA the SEC team?
That's right, because they did look very impressive. They've got what they've been missing for the last few years. They finally recruited some speed and athleticism.
Wow.
They have a quarterback that will not make mistakes, so that's going to be a big part of it. And they have a two-headed monster in the backfield. Those are two of the best backs in the country.
Charbonnet he must not be a wine in Michigan. He's just a wine in California. That must be a California wine, huh?
Well, listen, man. You know how many times have we seen it where a player will go to that school up north, not be successful, and then get out of their head and go somewhere else and just relax and be themselves. You're seeing it down in Tennessee too with the quarterback Milton who transferred down there. He had a great first game. So.
How about the kid that threw for Presbyterian that threw for 10 flipping touchdowns?
Oh man, that was video game.
Come on,
that just doesn't happen. That's insane. And I'll tell you what, you know who else impressed me this week? You know, and you may not agree with me, and that's okay, but I was really impressed by the transfer last night, Jack Cohn. I think he's a big style quarterback that Notre Dame is drooling over, and he played a hell of a game. He set an all-time record with 366 passing yards in his Notre Dame debut. They barely got a win. I get that. However, it was not anything that he didn't do. The only interception he threw was a Hail Mary at the end of regulation. I don't think you really even count that, but he was extremely efficient. He moved the ball really well for their offense.
See, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've called Notre Dame for the last 5 years the most fraudulent team in America. And they continue to be just that. They're the most fraudulent team in America. I'll be damned if I'm going to give Brian Kelly the so-called credit that he deserved. I mean, dude, you coach at Notre Dame. It's only like a handful of those in college football. It's Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, USC, and used to be that school up north. You know, now it's Clemson. You know, let Dabo get into the equation, you know. But
right.
At the end of the day, Notre Dame's exactly who I thought they were. They should have lost the damn game last night, Andy.
They should have. You're absolutely right. They should have. And if it wasn't for a kicker, and honestly, Steve, I think that Florida State's coach iced his own kicker because of that challenge.
He did. Had he left, because the kid had made the field goal from 50 yards out. He'd already made the field goal.
And they didn't even try to block it because they just thought he wasn't going to get it there. So, but, you know, I mean, every coach has made a call like that in their career, and it's going to happen. But the story of the year already is the fact that Mackenzie Milton's even on a football field. Can we just talk about that for a minute? I mean, that is literally.
Why is he not starting?
Well, he's going to be after last night.
After last night. I mean, man, damn, Stevie Wonder could see, man, he's the damn best quarterback on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, how come Norvell can't see that?
Well, he's going to see it now because he's going to be pressuring and putting him in there after how well he played in such a short period of time. And he's got the experience, Steve. People forget this kid before that
33 starts.
Yeah, and he almost won a national championship at UCF. Can we not remember that?
He was UCF on the board, brother.
He put him on the map. And had he not been hurt, we would be talking about his name in the likes of the draft and the top 5 quarterbacks that are going to be drafted in this upcoming year. Yeah. But I think his injury, he's going to fall to the 2nd or 3rd round, as he should. But just the fact that he is able to play football is just remarkable. I got a tear in my eye last night when I watched him on the field at the end of that game, just to be able to see him play football, to see his parents up in the crowd and know he almost lost his life to the same game that he was playing last night. I mean, you don't hear stories like that very often. And no matter what happens to Florida State, they've had a hell of a season just because they were able to put him back on the field.
It's the podcast that you've been asking for. It's keeping it real. I'm the real sports guy, Steve Taylor. He's the same man, Andy Sanzada. I hope you got your popcorn ready, because we getting ready to kick off the NFL kickoff show. We're going to start, Andy, in the AFC East. So let's start AFC East. And when we look at that, we look at the Buffalo Bills. We're looking at, of course, we're looking at the New York Jets, the New England Patriots, and the Miami Dolphins. I ask you, my friend, who made the best changes in the offseason? And tell me why.
Oh, man, that's tough. I mean, New England did a lot. There's no question. I think
they spent $122 million. Let's start there.
Well, let's start there. But I think they also have changed the culture a little bit. You know, I don't think Cam Newton was the right fit in that team. The way that
I'm glad you started there. Let's go there. Let's visit that, because he's named the starter. He's named the starter for the 2021 season. They drafted his kid 15th out of Alabama. They bring him in. Now, reports is telling me that he was helping Cam Newton with the damn playbook. I saw
that the other day, and I my mind was not really blown, but at the same time, at this level in his career, I'm not surprised. Cam just doesn't have that drive anymore, Steve, and that's why I don't think anybody's going to sign him unless they absolutely run out of options.
He'll get a job sooner or later. You know, he will get a job. You know, I mean, if Gary Gilbert got a damn job, he'll get a job. I'm not worried about that. It's just when, Cam still thinks he's a starting quarterback in this league. And
there's no way he'll start again unless somebody gets injured. There's absolutely no way. But as far as
back to New England, segueing back to New England. Okay, they had the 8 opt-outs last year where they had a 7-9 season with Cam Newton, where he had virtually nobody to throw the damn ball to. But Tom Brady never had nobody to throw the ball to. That's kind of why he's in Tampa Bay right now. But they bring in the 2 tight ends. They get the eight guys back who opted out for COVID last year. They get those guys back. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's wholesale changes everywhere. They usually draft well. I mean, everybody's making a big deal out of New England. Are you buying this?
I'm not buying it, and there's only one reason why I'm not buying it. They have to play the Buffalo Bills twice, and the Buffalo Bills are going to win the AFC East. I think
there you
that's
go.
not
There
even
you
a
go.
question.
There you go.
So, and honestly, Steve, I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but since you're talking about Buffalo and buying if New England can take them out, I mean, Buffalo's my pick to get all the way to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I just think that team is set for success. I think they just hit the tip of the iceberg last year, and I think they made the right additions in the offseason to push them over the edge. And they have a favorable schedule too. Let's not forget that. Compared to some of the other teams in the AFC, I think Buffalo's got a little bit of an easier schedule. So that's why I've got them going all the way to the Super Bowl.
I like the Buffalo Bills.
So obviously I've got them winning the AFC East.
Yeah. Well, the Bills are giving it another go after reaching the AFC Championship game last year, returning most of their young rising talent that they had. They did switch out John Brown wideout for veteran Emmanuel Sanders. That could pay immediate dividends. And the team still has concerns trying to find that other cornerback on the other side of Tre'Davious White, who is one of the top cornerbacks. He's an elite cornerback without a doubt. It was smart for the Bills to bring back linebacker Milano, and they addressed their concern along the pass front and the rush up front by drafting first rounder Gregory Rousseau. Ultimately, the team's success could break down to the newly extended Josh Allen contract. But the other side of that is they brought in Mitch Trubisky as an insurance policy. So you really got to like what the Buffalo Bills have done.
Yeah, and I think that now that Trubisky's out of Chicago and all that pressure is off of him from being the number 2 pick overall in the draft, now he can just be the Trubisky that they drafted as the number 2 pick. You know where I'm going with this? You know what I mean? Right, so if he ends up having to play, if Josh Allen gets hurt, he's no Josh Allen. I'm not going there, but I think it's a better backup option than what they had with EJ Manuel and some of the other guys that were there behind Allen over the last couple of years, to where he could sustain that team and they could still have the success that we predict that they're going to have in this upcoming season. So, the order of the division I've got is Buffalo, New England, Miami, and the Jets. That's the order I've got for this year for the AFC East.
Well, so let's move on and let's look at some of the other additions and subtractions that some other teams made, and then we're going to give a midseason and overall grade over for that team. I mean, what do you think? Grading the Buffalo Bills on what they did in the offseason, what do you give them?
I mean, you got to give them at least a B+ because they are who they are. And they may not have made a lot of additions, they may not have lost a lot, but just because the additions that they made are going to make them the team that I think they're going to be, which is why I'm putting them in the Super Bowl, I can't give them anything less than a B+.
Yeah, I give them a B- because I really don't think they did enough to shore up the defensive side of the ball. But I kind of like what they did. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins had their second consecutive busy offseason through moves that weren't nearly as earth-shattering as the ones that they made last year. The additions of Will Fuller, Matt Skura, and the linebacker that they just cut, McKinney. Boy, that's a head scratcher, isn't it? They make a trade for him.
A little
bit. The team has just settled in on Tua Tagovailoa as their perceived starter for now. And they did get some help in the draft with Jalen Waddle. What do you think about the Miami Dolphins?
Well, I think that they got the playmaker they needed when they drafted Waddle, because they had to have that speed and that home run threat, which is what Tua was missing in that offense. And I think that was the reason that they collapsed at the end of the year last year. They just didn't have enough weapons to sustain enough wins at the end of the season to get into the playoffs, which is why the Browns eventually caught them for that last spot. And then we all know what happened in the first round. We'll get into that a little bit later. But, Miami, I'm not sold on Tua yet, Steve. I just haven't seen enough. And that's the only reason why I have. Well, exactly. But that's the reason why I have New England above them, because even though Mac Jones is a rookie, I think he's more of a complete quarterback overall than Tua was coming out. Right. And Tua still has a lot to learn, whereas Mac Jones was a more NFL ready coming into this first year. Tua's becoming more NFL ready, so that's the difference for me.
Hey, grade, give the Miami Dolphins an offseason grade?
C.
I kind of give them a B. I kind of like what they've done. The New York Jets. Major changes were needed after Adam Gates came in and just flaring the whole damn show in New York. But man, that was a grease fire. You could smell the grease fire from here.
Honestly, Steve, they should have gotten rid of him before last season. I mean, that I don't know why. And I guess to get Zach Wilson, obviously, but there was no other reason to keep him there. He's one of the worst head coaches in the history of the NFL. Yes, I'll go there. Because he's a coordinator, he's not a coach. Just like so many of these other guys that we've seen.
No, hell, he ain't even a damn coordinator, man. Peyton Manning is made by Peyton Manning. Stop the madness.
Well, okay.
Andy, what I tell you about squinting? What I tell you about squinting? People let me tell you about squinting. Squinting.
You only see what you want to see.
You can see what the hell you want to see when you squint. We do this shit with our eyes wide open, man. We don't do no squinting.
All right.
So the Jets in turn hire Robert Saleh from the 49ers. He looks like a home run hit. And they've come in and made wholesale changes. They get Zach Wilson with the first pick. They get Corey Davis. They get right tackle Morgan Moses. They picked up Vera Tucker. They picked up Elijah Moore. They picked up Michael Carter. I mean, the team also drafted well. They added Carl Lawson. They added Sheldon Rankins. They added Jared Davis. They added LaMarcus Joyner with middle linebacker C.J. Mosley, who opted out last year. So they at least get him back. I mean, they got some pieces to play with here.
Yeah, Steve. This is not going to be the 2-14 or 3-13 Jets. They're going to win some games this year. I just think that division is a little too competitive for them to make any kind of playoff noise this first year. But I will give you this. Robert Saleh was the right hire for a team that's going through this type of transition, because you go from a culture nightmare to a culture changer instantly by bringing him and his stoic presence and his disciplinarianism into that locker room. And honestly, it's very similar to what the Browns did when they hired Kevin Stefanski. Right. These guys are similar personalities. They don't get too excited. They don't get too distressed. They just tell it how it is. They expect you to work your ass off when you go to practice. They expect you to translate that onto the field. And as long as you're doing that, you're going to stay on their good side. Now, that being said, some of the comparisons I've heard about with Zach Wilson, I think that's jumping the gun a little bit. Let's see this kid play in the regular season. Let's see it prove himself first. Because I'm not buying it yet. I'm not buying it yet.
Up for his ass.
That's right. Does he have enough of a line in front of him to keep him off his ass? Because that's going to determine whether or not he proves himself to be some of these guys that they're talking about. But you know what, Steve? That's why we do this show, because we're not those guys, right? We're not, he looked like this and he looked like that and he's comparable to Aaron Rodgers. And come on, stop that shit. Let's prove it on the field.
Man, that brings me back full circle to the damn New England Patriots and what we were talking about. Man, Mac Jones, my eye, he might grow up and be a good quarterback, man. But listen to me. Hey, listen to me. Listen to Uncle Stevie. I want y'all to listen real good, people. He ain't Tom Brady.
And nobody ever will
be.
Yeah. Now, let's go back to that real quick, because did you see that quote Asante Samuel came out with this week? I was excited to see somebody say it how it is.
Because he get it. He been there, done that.
That's right. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what we're talking about, Asante Samuel basically said that Bill Belichick is not a winning coach without Tom Brady as his quarterback.
Prove it. Show me.
We're talking about the winningest coach in NFL history. The guy has God knows how many Super Bowls, and he's saying he can't win without number 12.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was there, so I kind of believe him.
So let's give us an overview. AFC East. How do you got them? First, you got the Buffalo Bills.
So I got Buffalo, then I'm going New England, then I'm going Miami, then I'm going the Jets.
So you're going Buffalo, New England, Miami, and the Jets.
Yes.
I'm going Buffalo, Miami, New England, and the Jets.
Okay. Well, I had a feeling we might differ on that one a little bit.
Man, defensive coordinator is going to be licking their chops at a damn rookie quarterback. Y'all can say what y'all want to say about what you think Cam Newton was and what he wasn't. What Cam Newton is stability, and he's going to give you respect from defensive coordinators around the damn league. That's what's going to happen.
Right. Right.
So we're going to move on to the AFC South.
Okay. So, my friend, I was tasked with this division. I have a little bit of insight since my brother is a season ticket holder for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
So I knew all along what was going to happen down there, even before they even started talking about Trevor Lawrence. I knew he was going to end up in Jacksonville. I also knew that they were going to pair him with ETN because of the connection they had. So I don't think that surprised too many people. But it is a little bit of a travesty that he got hurt in the preseason and he's out for the year. I hate seeing that with rookies. It happened to the Browns last year with Grant Delpit at safety. And you know, you feel for those guys, you know, because they're just trying to make a name for themselves as a rookie. But, my friend, I will give you my predictions. But I first want to hear your thoughts on the AFC South.
Okay.
Because let's start with the Tennessee Titans. And I've got your names that you're looking for as far as who left and who came in. And let's start with their key additions. I think we have to start with, let's see, one of the greatest receivers of all time,
Julio
Jones.
Julio
Hall of Fame, because that's where he's on his way to. So obviously the biggest acquisition of their offseason. Then they got a tight end in Jeff Swaim, who's going to give some better blocking in the run game, and he can catch the ball down the middle of the field. They got defensive end Danico Autry. They got the outside linebacker who can also play a defensive end, Bud Dupree, biggest signing in the offseason on defense, I think. And they got a stable kicker now in Sam Ficken. What they lost was Corey Davis at wide receiver,
and
tight end Jonnu Smith,
right there,
tight defensive end Isaiah Mack, outside linebacker Vic Beasley, cornerback Malcolm Butler, cornerback Jonathan Joseph, and safety Kenny Vaccaro. So they took a real big hit to their secondary.
Wait. What about Adoree Jackson?
I might have left him out too.
Yeah, you think? Adoree Jackson?
Hey, my printer wasn't working. Give me a break. You try going back and forth and figure out which year is which roster. All right. So, Tennessee, last year, they win the division. They get in. They get beat by Baltimore. Stop me if you've heard this before. Now, they bring in Julio Jones to give Tannehill some help. Is that enough to take them to the next level? And do you have them winning this division?
Well, they are probably the best team in the division overall. When you look at what they do offensively, they flat out beat you up. They beat you up, and then they add Hall of Fame Julio Jones to the roster. I mean, you're going to lose someone with Jonnu Smith because Jonnu Smith was a matchup problem. You can say what you want to say about the guy. The guy was a matchup nightmare. He's a matchup nightmare. They also lost to Jadeveon Clowney, who went to a certain team that I think you're wearing their jersey. So they lost him as well. But they did get Jackrabbit. They did get the Jackrabbit, Janoris Jenkins, to kind of help out. And one thing Janoris is, he's one of those boomer bust players. You can take this thing from me because, the Rams drafted him. So I know a little bit about this kid. The kid was a blue chip player that originally signed for Florida, got caught smoking weed and ended up going to a Division II school to where he led the team in damn interceptions. I mean, like, the dude just picks off passes and run them back for touchdowns all the time. But that said, he gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar sometimes. So when I really break down the Titans, I really like what they did in the offseason. I have to give them a strong B+ because of what they lost as well as what they added.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think I'll go with a B just because I don't know if they did enough to replace Jonnu Smith, like you said. And we also talked about earlier, they did lose some significant pieces in that secondary. But Mike Vrabel's a hell of a coach, and he's going to have these guys ready every single week. That's right. Absolutely right. OH. And That's right. And so, I've got Tennessee winning the division. I got them at 11-6. What do you think of that?
11-6. Well, that's pretty strong, man. The AFC is freaking loaded, man. It's not like
I know it.
It's
I took that into consideration as I was putting this together, but I just think that Tannehill has really come into his own these last couple of years. Derrick Henry is still one of, if not the best running back in the NFL. And if those two are on the field, this team has the potential to win 11 games. So I gave it to him.
well, the one team, man, that's going to stand in their way, the way I see it, Andy, is going to be the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, that's who I've got finishing underneath them second.
A lot of the thing that plays against them is their schedule. I mean, they start off the season against the Seattle Seahawks. The second week of the season, they play the Los Angeles Rams. I don't like the beginning of their schedule with the uncertainty of quarterback, with walking to him. I'm talking about Carson Wentz. I'm just there's just too much uncertainty. T.Y. Hilton is out right now, so we really don't know what's up with him.
And that's really the reason I kind of put Tennessee ahead of them. In the offseason, before the Wentz injury, before the Hilton injury, on paper, I think a lot of people had the Colts ahead of Tennessee. But like you said, there's some things that transpired in the last 2 months where that's probably going to change. And I think a lot of people would have the consensus that we have, which is that the Colts will finish second. Key subtractions for them. Obviously, they lost their quarterback. He decided to retire. Phillip Rivers was one of the greatest ever to not win a Super Bowl, I think. He just was consistent throughout his whole career. And he's already winning as a high school football coach. Not surprised by that at all.
That's a good place.
And honestly, I think it is. I think he's going to be a hell of a coach someday. And I think, just the experience of a guy like Jacoby Brissett. He may not have been the best quarterback in the league. He may not have put up the numbers, but you felt like you had a chance to win when he was under center, and they lose that now. So they do get Carson Wentz, and I like the draft for the future with Sam Ehlinger. I think he's going to be a solid quarterback in the NFL, and who knows?
Andy,
things fall into place. He could end up playing this year.
If you're available to me, ain't no good to me.
That's right. That's right. So, but a couple of key losses for them on the offensive line with Costanzo leaving. And then on defense, Justin Houston at the defensive end spot, Anthony Walker, who went to Cleveland at linebacker, and then Malik Hooker in the secondary. They did add Kwity Paye at defensive end and then Malik Jefferson in the middle. Yeah. But I just don't think it's enough, Steve. I've got them at 10-7, 9-8, somewhere around there. And I just don't think they're a playoff team this year.
Yeah, I think they just come just a little bit short of it. Just kind of handicapping the division. Give me how you think the division is going to stack up from top to bottom.
So I've got Tennessee winning it at 11-6. I got Indianapolis at 10-7. I got Jacksonville at 6-11, and I got Houston at 3-14.
That's about right. I kind of agree with you on all of that. I can't disagree with that. So the only changes that we had is in the AFC East, where I think that
we flipped New England and Miami. That was it. Otherwise, we're right here right now. So
let's keep it moving, man. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to the AFC West, where the Kansas City Chiefs live. 2 years ago, after falling short of the AFC Championship, the Kansas City Chiefs front office addressed glaring weaknesses by remaking the defense. That offseason move, the team looked to make a similar approach to fix a glaring weakness in the offensive line. Problem is, you got Austin Blythe, who's not really a great run blocker. Take it from me. He's a good pass blocker when you move the offensive line. Not the kind of offense that the Kansas City Chiefs really run. That's the bad news. Good news is he's hurt, so you ain't got to worry about it. Okay. The result is potentially 5 new starters. They got Joe Turney. They got Orlando Brown on the left side. They picked up a defensive tackle, Jaron Reed, who has wreaked havoc for Seattle for years. And I mean, when all said and done, they still got that guy, man, Patrick Mahomes. They're my homeboy, man. I mean, damn.
Until he stops playing in that division, they're going to win that division. I mean, right? I mean, yeah. I don't see anybody else taking it from them.
Yeah.
The only team that could potentially push them, in my opinion, is the Chargers. I think the Chargers are for real, and I think they're gonna sneak up on a lot of people faster than you think.
I like where they're going. You know, Brandon Staley, first year head coach, former defensive coordinator for my Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I like what they've done, but it's too much too soon. I'd like to see the young kid continue to make strides forward. Man, they've got, to me, one of the top 5 wide receivers in the game.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah. Bottom line, top 5, one of the top 5 wide receivers in the game.
Yeah, he can flat out play, and he makes plays that you're not supposed to make either. Runs great routes, and he's actually really good in the pass blocking game too, which helps their run game. The question for me with the Chargers is their defense, and I think that's where they fall a little bit short just yet. But I'm not saying they're going to push them to the playoffs.
Joey Bosa.
I'm not saying
that damn safety
I understand
that they got back there, man. That's probably the best safety in the game. You know, man.
Here's the thing. Let me ask you this.
They drafted Asante Samuel Jr., who's just ready to plug in on the corner there. I mean, they may not be ready. That's why I
said they could push them. They're not ready yet, but they're not far. What do you think any stability was put in place with Teddy Bridgewater in Denver?
And the key word in that sentence, Andy, is stability. That's what he gives them, is stability. See, what we know. Here's what we know. We know that Teddy Bridgewater ain't going to win it. But we know he ain't going to fuck it up either.
That's right.
That's what we know.
That's right.
You know, that's what we know about Teddy.
I just don't think they have enough pieces around him on that offense. You know, even though he's a good fit for them, you know, they still have the defense. As long as Von Miller's there, they're always going to have a defense.
Bradley, they got a guy named Bradley Chubb as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Bradley Chubb too. Right. Exactly. But they lost Phillip Lindsay, which is a dynamic, you know, rusher for their offense. That's too big of a loss for me. So I think they're going to finish last in the division, right there with Las Vegas. I think it's between the Broncos and the Raiders in the bottom.
And you see, bringing me to the Raiders, what's the damn plan in Vegas? The Raiders currently spend big money on backup running back Kenyon Drake. They significantly downgraded the offensive line by trading Trent Brown and Rodney Hudson, and overdrafted Alex Leatherwood in the first round. I mean, on the bright side, the team did get a potential steal with getting John Brown to replace Nelson Aguilar, but Nelson Aguilar, and your point, you know.
I just think they have too many questions within that organization that they can't answer. And when you take it from somebody that came through a culture like that here in Cleveland, you're not going to win football games if you can't answer those questions. And I honestly think that if they don't make the playoffs, they should fire John Gruden after this year. I really believe that enough.
John Gruden ain't going nowhere. It's that other guy.
Well, I know he's got a 10-year contract.
Yeah. I'm talking about Mike Mayock. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
get back.
He's not a GM. Get back to broadcasting because that's what you do best.
Network, all of that bull crap he was saying in.
Yeah.
So
that's you know, they're just. So I've got Kansas City, LA. I got Kansas City, LA, Denver, Vegas.
I've got Kansas City. I have Denver. Because I think they're talented. I think they're loaded. They're a quarterback away.
Okay.
I have Vegas, then the Chargers. Because the Vegas,
okay.
The Raiders, say what you want, they can score points. I just hate that
they can.
The damn quarterback cries, man. I can't get over that. The quarterback cries. You can't have your damn quarterback crying. I'm sorry. Quarterback can't cry.
You know, but so a receiver can. You remember that one?
Quarterback can't cry, man. Quarterback can't cry.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that. Let's move on. We got plenty more to cover. Where are we going next?
AFC Central.
North.
I'm sorry. I went old school, didn't I?
You did go old school.
Yeah, I did.
But I knew exactly what you were talking about.
What I meant.
All right, how much time we have? Because I
And
can
we got to
into
get through this,
division.
man. I mean, we done made them kind of long, but let's get through this.
All right, so obviously we're going to start with the team in the division, my Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns.
My Cleveland Browns. Your backup Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
I got you.
The team that gave the city
listen,
the Rams.
That's right. So here's the thing. We know about the additions and subtractions. The big names for me were obviously Jadeveon Clowney. That's a massive signing because it gives Myles Garrett the help. But I think there's going to be some prizes that will help the Browns too, like Takk McKinley, Malik McDowell, as you and I were talking the other day. This is a former number 1 overall draft pick that fell off the face of the earth, got into trouble off the field. We decided to give him a second chance. He makes the team and is motivated more than ever to look like that first-round pick. That's scary. I'm really excited about that. I absolutely love what they did in the draft, getting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah as a steal, taking Greg Newsome as their number 1 pick late in the first round to help the secondary. They've got Anthony Walker coming over in free agency to shore up the linebacking core. They got Tommy Togiai to give him some depth in the draft at that front defensive line. And then, Steve, the additions, which I'll just say thank you from one to another. Troy Hill, Johnny Johnson, 2 of the best in the league in the secondary. And Grant Delpit comes back healthy. Greedy Williams comes back healthy. Let's assume that happens. We don't know yet. Denzel Ward stays healthy. This defense all of a sudden looks really impressive on paper. I want to clarify that. On paper. We haven't seen anything on the field yet. But, man, you know how it is. The offense is one of the best in the league. They're going to be good for 30 to 40 points every week. Nick Chubb's going to be leading the league in rushing again, or right there with Derrick Henry. They just have the depth. The concerns that I have and what could keep them from going where everybody else thinks they're going to go are the kicking game, because that's always been an issue for them. And it's another issue this year because Cody Parkey got hurt. He's out for the season. And Chase McLaughlin missed an extra point attempt in the preseason. Don't get me started on that. Can they fill enough holes on defense? Did they do enough to get the depth that they need to run the system they want to run? And can Baker play the way that Baker did in the second half of 2020 to continue that into this year? Because if he does, that's going to be the difference on offense. The other thing is, does OBJ stay, or do they try to make a move to shore up a hole somewhere else and package him if he starts playing well on the field? I think they're going to keep him because of the –
What hole?
What's
Where?
That? Well, now I would agree with that. Well, I would agree with that now. I'm just saying, say Myles Garrett gets hurt. Say, so I'm just saying, if they run into that situation, do they continue to put him in the back pocket as a trade chip? Or do they say, you know what? No, we gave up what we gave up. We got to see this through. Jarvis and him are we're 2 of the best that have ever played at LSU. If we can somehow find that cohesion on our field, then here we go. And they have two of the best tight ends in football, in Austin Hooper and David Njoku. So I'm excited. I have them winning the division.
Shut the hell up and let you talk.
I have them winning the division because I just think 12-5 is where they're going to end up. And I just don't think they're quite there to get past Buffalo and Kansas City, but they're really, really close. I hope I'm wrong. Listen, fans, I hope I'm wrong. I want a Super Bowl more than anybody else. Trust me. But I have to be an analyst. And as my analyst brain tells me, Buffalo wins the AFC, but the Browns win the North. I'll let you rebuttal.
Here is where I tend to disagree a bit. Because I think early on, the wholesale changes that the Browns made on defense are not going to pan out in the early portion of the season. I think toward the end of the season, mid-season, about game 6, game 7, when this shit really kicks in and it starts to really make sense, to Browns, to the Browns defense. Because I think 85-90% of the game, I think the Browns defense are going to be where it's supposed to be. it's that other 15% that scares me, especially when you're dealing with a guy like Patrick Mahomes coming out the gate. That's what scares me about them.
I would say I'm glad that we have them in week 1, not week 10, because
we
you and I both know that
you
Kansas
have to
City
figure it out by
better.
then. You haven't figured out by
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think the Browns are going to be a damn handful. But you ain't gonna want to play them. If other than the Kansas City Chiefs, if the Kansas City Chiefs don't make it out to AFC, I think the Browns had the best chance other than better than the Bills. I just think
Okay.
I think what the Browns do best can shut down the Buffalo Bills when it counts. Because the one thing about running a football, man, that shit don't get old, man. That don't get old. That travels, man. That travels.
Listen,
that travels,
Nick Chubb,
like what they did.
Nick Chubb was
the
a perfect fit for Cleveland. Nick Chubb is the perfect fit for Cleveland's offense, and also to play as a Cleveland Brown.
It's the other guy I'm talking about.
Kareem Hunt.
That's the guy I'm talking about, man. He's bullying you when he gets in the game.
That's right. That's right.
He's bullying you. So I like the offseason. I give the Cleveland Browns an A- on their offseason. Let's move ahead.
I'm going to give him an A. I'm going to give him an A.
I give him an A.
That's fine. And watch out for Demetric Felton too. He can do a lot of things, and he's pretty special. He's going to help special teams on the return game quite a bit.
Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be the stiff competition. I think the Ravens and the Browns are the cream of the crop. The Ravens continue to quest for another championship, as indicated by additions of proven veterans like Kevin Zeitler, guard, right tackle, Alejandro Villanueva, former Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yep.
They signed Sammy Watkins. They signed defensive end Justin Houston. The team also selected Rashad Bateman, who's he's hurt the beginning part of the season, but to help shore up the wide receiving core. I mean, the Ravens are the Ravens, man. And people are starting to understand that. The dude,
Steve,
man, Lamar Jackson he's pretty damn good.
Here's the crucial part of this division. Okay, it comes in the middle of the season, because the Browns play the Ravens, then the Browns have a bye week, and then they play the Ravens again right after the bye week. So that is going to be absolutely crucial for who wins this division, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because that is a key point in the season. That's where, as you said earlier, you should have your shit figured out by then, because you're talking week 8, week 9, week 10, right? But a huge loss for Baltimore is J.K. Dobbins. That was a major blow to their offense. And they also lost. They still have Gus. I get that, but they also lost Mark Ingram because he went to for some reason he went to Houston. I can't figure that one out. Maybe money talks, I guess.
I can.
But Malik Harrison in the middle of that linebacking core was another big addition. And listen, the Ravens are the Ravens, like you said. And this is a knockdown, drag out, beat the shit out of each other division. So it's going to come down to the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers, just like it does every single year.
Right.
I just think the difference is, for the first time in a very, very long time, Cleveland has more talent to get through all of those bumps and bruises. That ultimately is the difference.
They're definitely going to need that. I think the division is going to come down to what happens in those two Baltimore and Cleveland games. But we can't dismiss the Pittsburgh Steelers. They still have Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, they have a coach that's never had a losing season. I mean, all that dude keeps doing is turning out winner after winner after winner after winner. Winner, chicken dinner. Say what you want to about him. He is one of the most respected head coaches in the league. Mike Tomlin is one of the best to do it. It's something about him. That guy, if he picks them, he has a way of picking winners.
Well, Pittsburgh is the model of what it takes to be a successful NFL franchise, right? I mean, when you look at the history of that organization, but they lost a couple of big pieces. Marcus Pouncey retired. Villanueva, as we just said, went to the rival, Baltimore. James Conner, the running back, left.
So
and then, well, okay, maybe that's not a huge loss, but it's still a running back that was successful in their offense. But Bud Dupree on the defensive end is a big loss too. But they got Tyson Alualu in the middle. They signed Joe. They traded for Joe Schobert in the linebacking core, and they drafted Najee Davis, and they got Melvin Ingram in the middle.
There we go. Stop right there. And that solidifies your defense. They draft Najee Harris from
Alabama.
So they got a real running back now that don't get hit. I mean, man, Connor was a nice story, man. I really like the story, but the kid wasn't no damn every down back.
Well, no, he wasn't. He wasn't.
That's what I mean when I say squint. See, when you squint, that's what you see. Open your eyes and you see that dude ain't every down back.
Yep. I got you.
Juju Schuster he's a knucklehead, but they drafted well last year. They got the kid Claypool from Notre Dame who is only starting to grow his game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ben's back, man, and Ben's healthy. So let's just
don't forget about Deontay Johnson in that wide receiver core too. And Dwayne Washington.
Real quick before we shore up the division, real quick, the Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase dropping the ball all over the damn place. Joe Burrow's coming back, on a leg and a half. I mean, do the Bengals have any chance at all?
They have a chance to get to maybe close to 500, but they don't have a chance to win.
Andy, that means no. Just say it. Say it. I see the look.
No, they don't have a fucking chance.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
There, I said it.
Give me what I want, man. Don't be nice. We ain't being nice. No damn niceness. Okay, let's jump the division top to bottom.
All right. So Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
Yeah, I can't complain to you. Can't complain that at all.
I will say Cincinnati did go out and give Burrow a little bit of help when they signed Riley Reif. That was a good decision to help shore up their offensive line, but they just don't have enough pieces. Not yet.
So let's go over to the NFC.
The way that the other three teams are playing, they can't. It's so.
Yeah.
NFC North.
NFC
That's
East.
where we're going.
Let's go to NFC East.
All right, we're going to the NFC East. Okay.
The Washington football team quickly developed an elite defense last year, but the offense still had a lot of work to do. The defense made an astute move by adding Ryan old-ass Fitzpatrick at quarterback as a Band-Aid, but they also improved the wide receiving room. They added Curtis Samuels, Adam Humphries, and then they drafted. This is going to be the steal of the draft. Dynamic Brown, wide receiver out of North Carolina. I flat out love him. I love his skill set. I love the way he gets open. I love what just the pressure that he puts on opposing defenses. I think that's going to translate well to the NFL. The offensive line has also continued to progress. They added Charles Leno and Eric Flowers. The defense wasn't even quiet. They added cornerback William Jackson for big money, and then selected Davis in the first round. Man, is this Washington's division to lose, or do we got to worry about that team with the star on its helmet?
Listen, number 4 is back, right? So if number 4 is back and number 4 is healthy, you have to worry about the team with the star on its helmet because he's a major difference maker. There's no question about that. And I think when number 4 plays well, number 21 plays well, number 19 plays well, that makes a difference for their offense. So we'll get to them in a minute.
Here's the problem, Andy. Guy broke his ankle last year. Missed games since, October? Hasn't played in a meaningful game.
Week 5, I think. He hurt it against Cleveland.
Comes up in first week, just before the preseason, 3 days before the Hall of Fame game. The Dallas Cowboys shut him down because of his shoulder. Okay, we're only going to shut him down for a couple of days. Okay, one turned into 2 days, turned into 3 days, turned into a week, turned into 2 weeks. Okay, now your number 1 quarterback, he ain't started none of the preseason games. Now we're in week 3 of the preseason, Andy, and he still ain't throwing the damn football. Okay, we get out of training camp, we're out of
Mhm.
preseason, and your damn number one quarterback ain't throwing the ball down the field. That's a problem.
That's a big problem. There's no question about it. But, um, you know, I don't know. I just, like you said, old ass Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? I mean, the guy can make some special plays, but he's not going to get Washington to the playoffs. He's
Andy,
not.
they had the world champion on the ropes with a quarterback named Tyler Heineke.
Well, because they have one of the best defenses in the league.
And there we go.
So,
That's what I'm talking about. And as long as that defense ain't going nowhere, that shit travels, bro.
So you have Washington winning the East.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I see
You kind of you hesitated there.
Yeah, because I see them at like 10-7. I see the Cowboys, man. See, the Cowboys are the Cowboys. See, man, one thing that we can always depend on, gas taxes and the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, we can always depend on them because see, Jerry is going Jerry. See, he's one of them guys that don't realize that the faces have changed, the names have changed, but the results remain the same, man. Because philosophy stays the same. Because it's that guy that's calling the shots up top, kind of like that school up north. Same thing, don't you? You see what I'm getting at?
Kind of, yeah. I can see comparisons to that, absolutely. But okay, so we're not even going to talk about Philadelphia in this division because they're just going to be at the bottom, right? Can we agree on that?
I think Philadelphia will shock some people.
Oh, see, I think the Giants are going to shock some people because I think the Giants have a chance to win the division.
Okay. Are you squinting or are you looking at it eyes wide open?
No, this is eyes wide open.
Okay.
I think they have a really good coach in Joe Judge. I think that if Saquon can come back and contribute to the offense, you're going to see a different quarterback in Daniel Jones. And I think that's going to make a big difference for them. And I just something about that team just tells me they're going to sniff winning that division. I could be dead wrong, and it wouldn't be the first time. But I'll go out on a limb because this division's a toss-up. Right? Every single year it's a toss-up. So what the hell, right? Let's take a chance. Giants are going to be near the top. I don't know if I'm picking them to win it. I don't think I'll go that far. But I do have the Eagles in the bottom. That I will stand by because I just don't see their quarterback situation improving at all enough to be able to win enough games.
See, the Cowboys don't have a quarterback. I mean, they paying this dude $75 million. This dude's collecting $75 million this year, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not buying it, man. The dude can't throw 10 yards down the field right now. I mean, so what? All of a sudden, Thursday night, he gonna be able to let it fly?
So what if he comes out Thursday? What if he comes out Thursday and he beats Tampa Bay? Does that change your thoughts?
If he comes out and beats Tampa Bay, yeah.
Okay,
I'll go with that.
All right.
I'll go with that.
All right. So I know we got other divisions to get to. So how do you have the East?
Washington football team, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants.
Okay. I've got Dallas, the Giants. No, I'm just kidding. I've got Dallas, Washington, New York, and the Eagles. That's the way I see it.
All right. Well, we'll revisit this. Let's go to the NFC North.
I have a feeling we're going to be a little disagreement on this division. Okay. So let me just tell you this. I've got Green Bay winning it. I don't think that's where we're going to disagree.
Okay.
But I have the Vikings finishing ahead of the Bears. That's where I thought we might have some disagreements there. I will say this. That is under the assumption that Justin Fields is not playing in Chicago. Okay. That's the caveat to that. But I like what Minnesota did in the offseason, and I think that they're motivated, and I think that they can finish second in that division. So I've got Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit.
The only reason that I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings finishing second is because of the running game and the respect that I have for Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook. Exactly.
I mean, Kirk, second cousins, third cousins, sometimes fourth cousins. I don't trust him. That wide receiver is a real deal. Jefferson's the real deal.
Jefferson is a real deal. Absolutely.
And that other.
And they got Kellen Mond in the draft, and I think that's a more viable backup than Sean Mannion has been in the last couple of years.
Prescott 2.0. I'm sorry. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. I mean, Green Bay is going to win the division, I think, because that man with 2 A's in his name ain't going nowhere. I do think that they're going to regress. I think that the one-score games that they were winning last year, they're going to probably drop this year. I don't think that they'll have another 13-3, 12-4 type season.
I'm with you there. I've got them at 12-5. I don't have them anything above 12, but
yeah,
12-5,
11-6. I can kind of see that. Year, I just think the hierarchy of the NFL is going to reign supreme, provided no one gets hurt. I just think the hierarchy teams are just better than the rest. I mean, like, in fact, I mean, I think it's like, honestly, it's like 6 teams that I think are the cream of the crop in the NFL. And I think it's a lot of middle tier teams. I think the middle is really, really crowded.
Okay.
And then you've got a bottom tier of about 10 to 12 teams, maybe.
Okay. I see where you're going with that. I think there might be maybe more than 6, maybe 7 or 8, but I'm there for the most part with you for sure.
Because the 3 heavyweights that I see in the AFC, to make my point, would be the Chiefs, the Browns, and
the Bills. Yeah, okay. We're definitely in agreement there.
And then
the 3 in the NFC.
On the NFC side, I think your heavyweights are more so Green Bay, the Rams, and Tampa Bay. And then I think it's that second. That's why I say it's like about 6 teams, man. I don't see a lot of hierarchy in NFL. I mean, I think there's a lot of good football teams.
Right.
The cream of the crop are the ones that I just mentioned. So to finish out that NFC North division, I have Green Bay, Minnesota. I have the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are going to find out real fast if the Rams.
And I've got which Jared Goff is not a good quarterback. Yeah, exactly. I've got them winning 4 games. I got them at 4-13. I just don't see them winning more than 4. They may not even win that many, but but I do like the energy that Dan Campbell brings to that team. It's something that's been missing for a while. So I think for the Lions fans, they have that to look forward to. To have that fired up personality. But listen, you just lost the best quarterback that's ever put on a Lions uniform. You're not going to win games. Sorry, it's not going to happen.
I'm just going to tell you. I ain't telling you what I think. Wait till this dude get hit in the mouth, and then you'll see what the hell you're missing.
That's right.
Let's go to the NFC West. Speaking of those Rams,
I'm just going to sit back. This is you gave me my opportunity on the Cleveland. I'm giving you yours on LA.
Well, conventional wisdom is that the Rams, lost more than they gained, and I wholeheartedly disagree. Um, they lost Michael Brockers. They lost Morgan Fox, who was a great rotational player. We lost Troy Hill, as well as we lost Johnny Johnson. We also lost. Here's a tight end, Gerald Everett, that no one talks about. We lost him. We also lost Samuel, uh, 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 a linebacker. We lost him to the Niners. I can't stand. I can't stand the Niners. I mean, it's making me mad just to think about him going there. But so there was a lot of movement. But the biggest change that the Rams made was bringing in Matthew Stafford. You get rid of, you lose Jared Goff, and I forgot to talk about Jared Goff, who also left, as well as Malcolm Brown, who went to the Dolphins. But what you do, you lose as well a Cam Akers by injury, a freak injury, so that gives the incumbent running back position to Darrell Henderson. You make a move for a Sony Michel. You bring in a Matthew Stafford. You bring in a DeSean Jackson. You draft a Tutu Atwell. You draft well. You draft well every year. So we knew that we were going to lose Johnny Johnson last year. So what we do? We drafted Terrell Burgess, and we got him ready to move into the lineup, as well as Taylor Rapp. So they develop their players well. They develop right now. They're developing a pass rusher that you don't know about. He's the other Garrett, Chris Garrett. Yeah, I'm sure you'll hear about this kid. All this kid did was lead Division III Concordia in strip sacks and fumbles. I mean, the kid is a freak of nature, man. They unleashed him a couple of preseason games. The kid is going to be a freak. I love what the Rams are doing. Everybody is talking about the Niners and Trey Lance. If you look at the numbers at all of the rookie quarterbacks that was drafted in the first round, whose numbers were the worst? Well, they were Trey Lance's. Okay, when the Niners were on the clock, I'm like, I hope they fucked this up, and they did. They could have got Justin Fields. He's sitting right there. You traded up to get Trey Lance. Okay, good luck with that. Remember, you the same team that traded for Jimmy G, the dude that showed up on the set. We talking about porn star Jimmy here. Right. His first, what he did, thank you for signing me to this big money, is show up at the first event with a damn porn star on his team. So, I'm not buying the 49ers. Their defense is very respectable. I tell you, they will get after you. And their running game is, one of the best in the NFL, man. No one calls plays quite like Kyle Shanahan. I give them that. But the quarterback play is going to be what keeps them third in the division and maybe even fourth. So the way I see the NFC West, because you got to respect Russell Wilson.
Of course.
And then the subtle moves that they made, well, what'd they do? If you can't beat them, join them. So they went and they hired Shane Waldron from the Rams and made him their offensive coordinator. They went and they got Gerald Everett from the Rams, and they installed a whole type of passer-friendly type of offense because Russell Wilson is like, look, I like that. I want to do that too. And that's what happened. Okay? And that's what happened. Aaron Rodgers so damn mad because guys like that can get their way and he can't. So, me breaking down the division, I got the Rams winning the division. I think the Seahawks are up under them. I think the Cardinals are dangerous, and it depends on how it flips. They could finish third, and I'm going to pick them to finish third, and then the 49ers last.
Okay. Well, that's your division. You know them better than anybody. But the only thing I'll disagree on is I've got it flipped. I've got San Francisco 3, and I've got Arizona 4. But other than that, listen, as long as Russell Wilson is the quarterback of the Seahawks, I'm not going to underestimate them. And if the Rams weren't who the Rams are, I probably would have had Seattle winning the division. But I'm not stupid, and I know the Rams are the team to beat in that division. And, by the way, I have them going to the Super Bowl in the NFC. So, yeah, I'm right there with you as far as them winning the division. I think that people don't realize that J.J. Watt is at the later stages of his career. I think a lot of people acted like signing him would make Arizona an instant playoff team. Are you forgetting that the greatest receiver that's ever laced up a pair of shoes in that team is retired right now? Are you forgetting that? Larry Fitzgerald has no desire to play football.
But
That's a big difference on that
AJ
offense.
Green, man, to go along with the
Listen,
wide receiver in the game.
That's fine, but injury prone, not Larry Fitzgerald. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Don't
So,
and he ain't got to carry the city of Cincinnati on his neck anymore either.
well, and maybe that makes a difference, but until I see that, I'm not buying it. Sorry, I've seen 8 years. I've seen what he is. I'm not buying it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
We got one more left.
One more left. Take us through it.
The NFC South.
Wow.
You are going to be absolutely flabbergasted at what I've done with this division. Okay? Listen, Tom Brady is who Tom Brady is. They didn't do anything to that team. Everybody's back on offense. Everybody's back on defense. For that reason, I've got the Saints winning the South.
Wow. Wow. Hey, can I rewind the clock?
I want to make this interesting, okay? I want to make this interesting. And I've got a set of nuts, and I'm not afraid to use them. So okay, I'm calling out the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. You remember 2 years ago when Sid one flew out to Los Angeles and saw the Rams take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, and you got your ass beat.
Got my ass
I remember that.
Right.
Without Tom Brady.
But I came back humble, and I came back with a report. And this was previous Tom Brady. And I told you, I said, my friend, that's a championship football team. Did I not tell you that?
You told me that.
Okay.
And they won it last year.
And they won it. They got a quarterback, and then all of a sudden, they got rid of 30 for 30 guy. Okay. And they won a championship. And for that reason, because of 30 for 30 guy, it's why I don't have the Saints winning this division. Because the 30 for 30 guy is also the quarterback for the said New Orleans Saints.
I just think there's just Steve, there's just something about that team. And I really think that Tampa Bay is going to have a Super Bowl hangover. It's going to happen.
Wow.
I'm not saying they're missing the playoffs. I'm not saying it's that much of a hangover. But the only addition they made was Giovanni Bernard. Now, he's a nice piece out of the backfield that'll help them in their third down passing game, like they need any help. But I'm just saying. But, I don't want to be like everybody else, okay? I want to be the guy that says, I'm taking a shot, I'm going after it, and if I get shot down, I get shot down. It's like when you wanted to date the hot girl in college, right? And everybody said, don't do it. Don't ask her out. She's not going to say yes. You're going to embarrass yourself. I'm doing it anyways. I'm asking her out, and my hot girl is the New Orleans Saints, and I've got them winning the South. I just think that whether it's Winston or Hill, Sean Payton will prove that he doesn't need Drew Brees to be the coach that he is, unlike Bill Belichick. So that's why I'm going that way.
Well, the only thing that's going to save Sean Payton's ass this year is the extra playoff game. Okay, that's how his ass is going to get in. And then the fact that the NFC East is just that. They're the NFC East. That's going to save Sean Payton's ass. Okay?
Right.
But, other than that, man, it's going to be business as usual for Tom Brady. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. It's going to be business as usual for that guy, man. Them linebackers, man. Levante David, man. Them dudes run sideline to sideline like nobody.
Devin White, I know.
Man, I'm telling you, I've seen it up close with all 4 of these. I saw it with all 4 of these, man. And then the wide receiver crew. I remember when I saw them run out of the tunnel, Andy, I remember saying, oh, we don't have any of those. They don't make those. Godwin, and
Mike Evans. Yeah.
Man, come on, man. Come on, man. The thing that I like, matchups are everything. And I like the way the Rams match up with Tampa Bay. They just better be glad that they didn't have to match up with them last year. Because when they matched up with them, Jordan Fuller got them twice. Remember? The other guy that was drafted out of the Ohio State University. Captain. Oh, by the way, he's a captain this year for the Rams. Yeah, he got the green dot that Johnny Johnson gave up too, by the way. I just thought I'd throw it.
Yeah.
So let's go through this last division, man. Give me how you think this is going to stack up.
All right. So, whether it happens or not, this is the way I've got it going. I've got New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Carolina. That's the order.
I have Tampa, New Orleans, Carolina, and Atlanta.
I knew you were going to flip those other two also.
Yeah. I mean that to me, that makes the most sense to me.
Here's the thing, though. This is a quarterback league, is it not?
Right.
Okay. Are you gonna pick Matt Ryan? Or are you gonna pick Sam Darnold? I'm picking Matt Ryan. So that's why Atlanta's finishing ahead.
Yeah, but I tell you, man, about ain't no D in Atlanta. It ain't called Atlanta. It's called Atlanta. I'm just saying.
Yep, I know. But hey, what how entertaining is it if you and I just sit here and agree all the time, right? I gotta mix it up every now and then. I'm not afraid to do it.
That's what's gonna make this, man. This
division was my what the hell division, right? I could have done it with the NFC East. I could have done it with any other. No, I'm doing it with the South. You know why? Because that's where the Super Bowl champs are. You know who's not afraid of them? Me. You know why? Because I'm the Sandman. I don't care if I'm wrong.
What? No, I don't. And man, I don't say this shit, man, to retract this. I'm just saying, man, this is what the people want, man. This is what the people ask for.
Damn straight.
Give it to them. We call this keeping it real sports with the real sports guy. I'm Steve Taylor. With the Sandman, that's him. Man, we're gonna bring this to you every Saturday morning. Hey, look, send us your questions. We'll answer your questions online. We'll do all of that, man. This is for you because this is what the people want. We give the people what the hell they want, Andy.
That's right. We're tired of all these big names that are getting millions of dollars that don't know what the hell they're talking about, okay? You get it right here. You're going to get it. You're going to get the knowledge that you're looking for, and you're going to get the truth whether you want to hear it or not, because that's what we do.
Thank you for joining into our NFL Kickoff Show. We'll be back next week. Hey, we're going to keep it real. I'm going to give you the top 10 college football teams, how the shit really go. Not what they saying. We're going to keep it real. Next week, 2 weeks in college. And it'll be the kickoff of the NFL season. So much to talk about. We'll see you next week. It's Keeping It Real. I'm Steve Taylor. He's Sandman. We'll see you next time.